The Consciousness Masters, accessing higher mental states for godlike capabilities. Let me tell you about the moment that transformed Dr. Marcus Chen from a brilliant neuroscientist limited by ordinary human consciousness to what researchers now call a consciousness master, someone who has learned to access higher mental states that unlock capabilities so extraordinary they appear godlike to conventional understanding, including enhanced intuition, accelerated learning, expanded awareness, and problem-solving abilities that transcend normal human limitations. It was December 15, 2024, and Marcus was facing his most challenging research breakthrough while simultaneously experiencing what he would later realize was his first glimpse into expanded consciousness states that would revolutionize his understanding of human potential. Most people operate within the confines of ordinary waking consciousness, using only a fraction of their mental capabilities, while remaining unaware of the expanded states of awareness that contain the keys to extraordinary human performance. Marcus discovered something that borders on the supernatural. He learned what Napoleon Hill called the consciousness elevation method, the systematic approach to accessing and maintaining higher mental states that unlock capabilities most people consider impossible or mystical. Within 36 months, Marcus had not only achieved breakthrough scientific discoveries that established his reputation as a visionary researcher, but had developed what colleagues called superhuman mental abilities, solving complex problems through pure intuition, learning new skills at accelerated rates, accessing information through expanded awareness, and demonstrating cognitive capabilities that seem to operate beyond normal human limitations. Tonight, you're going to learn the exact consciousness mastery framework Marcus used to access higher mental states and unlock godlike capabilities, and how you can apply these same principles to transcend ordinary consciousness limitations and develop extraordinary mental abilities that most people never imagined possible. The consciousness limitation crisis. Marcus's awakening began when he encountered a research problem that seemed to exceed the capabilities of conventional analytical thinking. Despite his advanced education, sophisticated research methods, and access to cutting-edge technology, he found himself unable to make the breakthrough needed to advance his neuroscience research on consciousness and human potential. I realized I was trying to study consciousness using consciousness itself, which created fundamental limitations, Marcus later reflected. I was like a fish trying to study water while remaining completely immersed in it. I needed to access states of awareness that transcended my normal thinking patterns to understand the very mechanisms I was researching. The crisis deepened when Marcus recognized that his entire approach to problem-solving, learning, and discovery was constrained by what he now understood to be ordinary consciousness, the normal waking state that most people assume represents the full range of human mental capability. That's when his research colleague, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, introduced him to Professor William Zhang, a consciousness researcher who had spent 30 years studying what he called expanded awareness states, higher levels of consciousness that unlock capabilities far beyond ordinary human mental limitations. The consciousness elevation discovery. Professor Zhang had a revolutionary perspective on human consciousness and mental capability that completely transformed Marcus's understanding of human potential and cognitive development. Most people live in what we call consensus consciousness, the shared limitations that society accepts as normal human capability, Professor Zhang explained. Consciousness masters understand that ordinary waking consciousness is actually one of the most limited states of awareness available to humans. There are higher states that unlock capabilities most people consider impossible. Professor Zhang showed Marcus documented research demonstrating that throughout history, individuals who achieved extraordinary discoveries, innovations, and capabilities had accessed expanded states of consciousness that provided insights, abilities, and understanding unavailable to ordinary awareness. These higher states aren't mystical or supernatural, Professor Zhang continued. They're natural human capabilities that have been systematically developed by consciousness masters throughout history. When you learn to access and maintain expanded awareness, you unlock cognitive abilities that appear godlike because they operate beyond the limitations of ordinary consciousness. The 5 consciousness mastery principles. Over the next 8 months, Professor Zhang taught Marcus 5 fundamental principles that enable access to higher consciousness states and extraordinary capabilities. Principle 1, consciousness state recognition. Instead of assuming ordinary waking consciousness represents full human potential, Consciousness masters learn to recognize and differentiate between multiple states of awareness, each offering different capabilities and insights. Principle 2. Expanded awareness access. Rather than remaining trapped in ordinary consciousness limitations, consciousness masters develop systematic techniques for accessing higher mental states that unlock enhanced intuition, accelerated learning, and expanded problem-solving capabilities. Principle 3. Cognitive function integration. Consciousness masters learn to integrate insights and capabilities gained from higher states with ordinary consciousness function, creating enhanced baseline performance that persists across all awareness states. Principle 4. Intuitive intelligence activation. Instead of relying only on analytical thinking, consciousness masters access intuitive intelligence that provides direct knowing, pattern recognition, and problem-solving capabilities that operate beyond logical analysis. Principle 5. Transcendent capability development. Consciousness masters systematically develop capabilities that transcend normal human limitations, including enhanced creativity, accelerated learning, expanded awareness, and problem-solving abilities that appear supernatural to conventional understanding. Marcus's 36-month consciousness mastery transformation. Under Professor Zhang's guidance, Marcus systematically developed his consciousness mastery capabilities. Month 1-6, consciousness state mapping and awareness development. Marcus began by learning to recognize and differentiate between different states of consciousness. He discovered that what he had assumed was simply being awake actually encompassed dozens of distinct awareness states, each with different characteristics and capabilities. Working with Professor Zhang, Marcus learned to identify states characterized by enhanced focus, expanded awareness, accelerated processing, creative insight, and intuitive knowing. He practiced transitioning between these states consciously, rather than experiencing them randomly. I realized that most breakthroughs in my research had occurred during specific consciousness states that I had previously attributed to luck or inspiration, Marcus explained. Once I learned to access these states deliberately, my research capabilities increased exponentially. Month 7-12, expanded awareness techniques and higher state access. Marcus learned systematic techniques for accessing higher consciousness states, including specialized meditation practices, breathing techniques, visualization methods, and environmental modifications that facilitated expanded awareness. He discovered that certain combinations of mental focus, physical positioning, environmental conditions, and intentional practices could reliably induce states of consciousness that provided access to enhanced cognitive capabilities and extraordinary insights. Marcus practiced what Professor Zhang called consciousness navigation, deliberately entering specific awareness states for particular purposes such as creative problem solving, accelerated learning, or intuitive insight generation. Month 13-10-18, enhanced capability development and integration. Marcus began developing enhanced capabilities that operated consistently across different consciousness states. His problem-solving speed increased dramatically. His pattern recognition abilities became almost supernatural. His learning capacity expanded to allow mastery of complex subjects in fractions of normal time frames. He learned to integrate insights gained from higher consciousness states with his ordinary awareness, creating permanent improvements in baseline cognitive function that persisted regardless of his current consciousness state. Marcus also developed what Professor Zhang called expanded perception, awareness that extended beyond normal sensory limitations to include subtle environmental information and interpersonal dynamics. Month 19-24, intuitive intelligence mastery and direct knowing. Marcus mastered accessing what Professor Zhang called intuitive intelligence, direct knowing that bypassed analytical thinking to provide immediate understanding of complex problems and situations. He learned to distinguish between ordinary intuition and expanded intuitive capabilities that provided access to information and insights unavailable through conventional analysis. This intuitive intelligence enabled breakthrough discoveries that would have taken years through traditional research methods. Marcus also developed enhanced creativity that enabled innovative solutions and approaches that seemed to emerge fully formed from expanded awareness states. Month 25-36. Transcendent capability integration and advanced mastery. Marcus achieved what Professor Zhang called consciousness sovereignty, the ability to consciously choose and maintain any awareness state while accessing capabilities associated with expanded consciousness on demand. He developed advanced capabilities including accelerated healing, enhanced physical performance, expanded environmental awareness, and problem-solving abilities that consistently produced results others considered impossible or miraculous. Marcus also learned to facilitate consciousness expansion in others, helping colleagues and students access higher awareness states that enhanced their own capabilities and performance. The extraordinary consciousness mastery results. By month 36, Marcus's consciousness development had produced remarkable outcomes. Scientific breakthrough achievement, completed groundbreaking research discoveries that established him as leading consciousness researcher while developing practical applications for consciousness expansion in healthcare, education, and performance enhancement. Enhanced cognitive capabilities, developed extraordinary mental abilities including accelerated learning, enhanced problem solving, expanded pattern recognition, and intuitive intelligence that consistently produced insights unavailable to ordinary consciousness. Transcendent physical performance, achieved enhanced physical capabilities, including improved coordination, accelerated healing, increased energy levels, and stress resistance that exceeded normal human limitations. Expanded awareness integration, maintained access to higher consciousness capabilities during ordinary daily activities, creating permanent baseline improvements that enhanced all aspects of life and professional performance. Teaching and mentoring excellence, developed ability to guide others in consciousness expansion, helping dozens of individuals access higher awareness states and develop enhanced capabilities. Revolutionary research applications, applied consciousness mastery principles to develop practical techniques for enhancing human performance in healthcare, education, business, and personal development that produce documented improvements in multiple populations. The consciousness mastery framework. Through Marcus's transformation and Professor Zhang's research with hundreds of consciousness explorers, they developed a comprehensive framework for accessing higher mental states. Phase 1. Consciousness state recognition and mapping learn to identify and differentiate between multiple states of awareness. Rather than assuming ordinary consciousness represents full capability, practice recognizing characteristics and capabilities associated with different consciousness states. Develop awareness of how environmental conditions and mental practices influence consciousness state. Understand relationship between consciousness states and available capabilities. Phase 2. Systematic higher state access and navigation master techniques for deliberately accessing expanded awareness states, including meditation, breathing, visualization, and environmental modification. Develop ability to transition between consciousness states consciously and maintain desired states for extended periods. Learn to navigate different awareness states for specific purposes and desired capabilities. Practice integrating higher state insights with ordinary consciousness function. Phase 3. Enhanced capability development and stabilization. Systematically develop enhanced cognitive abilities, including accelerated learning, expanded problem solving, enhanced creativity, and intuitive intelligence. Practice integrating capabilities gained from higher states with baseline consciousness function. Develop consistency in accessing enhanced capabilities regardless of external circumstances. Create permanent improvements in mental performance that persist across all awareness states. Phase 4. Intuitive intelligence activation and advanced perception master, accessing direct knowing and intuitive intelligence that bypasses analytical thinking while providing immediate understanding. Develop enhanced perception that extends beyond ordinary sensory limitations to include subtle environmental and interpersonal information. Learn to distinguish between ordinary intuition and expanded intuitive capabilities. Practice applying intuitive intelligence to complex problems and decision-making situations. Phase 5. Transcendent capability integration and consciousness sovereignty. Achieve ability to consciously choose and maintain any awareness state while accessing associated capabilities on demand. Develop advanced capabilities that transcend normal human limitations, including enhanced healing, physical performance, and environmental awareness. Master facilitating consciousness expansion in others through teaching and mentoring. Integrate consciousness mastery into all aspects of life and professional activities for maximum impact and effectiveness. Real-world consciousness mastery applications. Case Study 1. The intuitive surgeon, cardiac surgeon, Dr. Jennifer Walsh, used consciousness mastery to develop surgical capabilities that exceeded conventional medical training. By accessing higher awareness states during operations, she developed intuitive surgical guidance that enabled complex procedures with unprecedented precision and success rates. Her expanded consciousness allowed perception of subtle patient conditions and optimal treatment approaches unavailable to analytical thinking alone. Case Study 2. The visionary entrepreneur technology, entrepreneur Michael Torres applied consciousness expansion to business development and innovation. His access to higher awareness states enabled visionary product development, market insights, and strategic decisions that consistently positioned his companies ahead of industry trends. His expanded consciousness provided access to creative solutions and business opportunities invisible to conventional analysis. Case Study 3. The accelerated learning artist, professional musician Lisa Chen used consciousness mastery to develop extraordinary musical abilities and teaching capabilities. Her expanded awareness states enabled accelerated mastery of multiple instruments, enhanced creative composition, and intuitive understanding of musical principles that typically require decades of traditional study. She also developed ability to facilitate rapid skill development in her students through consciousness-based learning techniques. The neuroscience of consciousness expansion. Modern neuroscience provides frameworks for understanding how consciousness mastery creates extraordinary capabilities. Brainwave entrainment and state-specific learning research demonstrates that different consciousness states correspond to specific brainwave patterns, and information learned in particular states can be accessed more easily when returning to those states. Neuroplasticity and consciousness-induced brain changes studies show that consciousness practices create measurable changes in brain structure and function, including increased connectivity between brain regions and enhanced cognitive processing capabilities. Default mode network and expanded awareness neuroscience research reveals that altered consciousness states affect the brain's default mode network, potentially explaining enhanced creativity and problem-solving capabilities reported by consciousness practitioners. Gamma wave activity and peak performance states brain imaging studies demonstrate that extraordinary performers often exhibit unique gamma wave patterns associated with heightened awareness and enhanced cognitive integration. Advanced consciousness mastery techniques. Consciousness state engineering and environmental optimization master systematic approaches for creating optimal conditions for consciousness expansion, including environmental design, timing optimization, and preparatory practices that facilitate higher state access. Expanded perception training and sensory enhancement develop enhanced sensory capabilities and environmental awareness that provide access to subtle information normally below conscious threshold. Collective consciousness access and group intelligence learn to access collective consciousness states that provide insights and capabilities unavailable to individual awareness while facilitating group problem solving and creative collaboration. Healing and physical enhancement through consciousness develop ability to influence physical healing and performance through consciousness states that enable enhanced mind-body integration and accelerated recovery. The technology tools for consciousness mastery. Brainwave monitoring and biofeedback systems use EEG devices and neurofeedback platforms to monitor brainwave patterns associated with different consciousness states and optimize practices for accessing desired awareness levels. Audio and visual entrainment technologies leverage binaural beats, light therapy, and other entrainment technologies that facilitate access to specific consciousness states and enhance expansion practices. Virtual reality and immersive consciousness training use VR environments designed to facilitate consciousness expansion through immersive experiences that support higher state access and capability development. Meditation and mindfulness apps with advanced features implement sophisticated meditation platforms that provide guidance for consciousness expansion beyond basic mindfulness into higher awareness states. The daily consciousness mastery practice. Successful consciousness masters develop consistent expansion and integration routines, morning consciousness elevation 30 minutes, practice systematic techniques for accessing higher awareness states and setting conscious intentions for enhanced capability access throughout the day, establish optimal consciousness state for day's activities and challenges. Midday consciousness integration 15 minutes, monitor consciousness state and practice transitioning to optimal awareness levels for current activities. Integrate insights gained from expanded states with practical decision-making and problem-solving. Evening consciousness review and integration 20 minutes. Review day's consciousness experiences and integrate insights gained from higher states, practice advanced expansion techniques, and prepare consciousness for enhanced overnight processing and recovery. Common consciousness mastery mistakes. Mistake 1, expecting dramatic results without systematic practice. Looking for immediate, extraordinary capabilities, rather than understanding that consciousness expansion requires consistent practice and gradual development over time. Mistake 2, Focusing on mystical experiences rather than practical integration, seeking dramatic consciousness experiences without developing ability to integrate insights and capabilities into ordinary awareness and daily activities. Mistake 3, neglecting grounding and practical applications, spending time in expanded states without learning to ground insights and capabilities in practical applications and ordinary consciousness function. Mistake 4, attempting advanced techniques without foundation development, trying to access highest consciousness states without mastering basic awareness skills and consciousness navigation abilities. Mistake 5, isolation from community and mentorship, attempting consciousness development alone rather than connecting with experienced practitioners and teachers who can provide guidance and support. Building your consciousness mastery system. Weeks 1-4, basic consciousness awareness and state recognition. Begin developing awareness of different consciousness states and their characteristics through basic meditation and mindfulness practices. Start recognizing how different mental activities and environmental conditions influence consciousness state. Practice basic techniques for maintaining desired awareness levels during daily activities. Weeks 5-12, systematic higher state access and navigation. Learn specific techniques for accessing expanded awareness states, including advanced meditation practices, breathing techniques, and visualization methods. Develop ability to transition between consciousness states consciously and maintain desired states for extended periods. Practice accessing higher states for specific purposes, such as creative problem solving and accelerated learning. Weeks 13-26, enhanced capability development and integration. Begin developing enhanced cognitive abilities through consciousness expansion, including improved problem solving, accelerated learning, and enhanced creativity. Practice integrating insights gained from higher states with ordinary consciousness function. Develop consistency in accessing enhanced capabilities regardless of external circumstances or stress levels. Weeks 27-39, advanced perception and intuitive intelligence development master. Accessing intuitive intelligence and direct knowing capabilities that bypass analytical thinking while providing immediate understanding. Develop enhanced perception that extends beyond ordinary sensory limitations. Learn to apply intuitive intelligence to complex problems and decision-making in professional and personal contexts. Weeks 40-52, consciousness sovereignty and transcendent capability integration. Achieve ability to consciously choose and maintain optimal awareness states for any situation or challenge. Develop advanced capabilities that transcend normal human limitations, including enhanced healing and physical performance. Master facilitating consciousness expansion in others through teaching and mentoring. Integrate consciousness mastery into all aspects of life for maximum effectiveness and contribution. Your consciousness evolution revolution. Dr. Marcus Chen's transformation from brilliant scientist to consciousness master wasn't about abandoning rational thinking. It was about accessing higher states of awareness that enhanced and expanded his analytical capabilities beyond ordinary human limitations. The consciousness mastery method he learned isn't about escaping reality. It's about accessing deeper levels of reality that provide enhanced capabilities and extraordinary insights unavailable to ordinary awareness. Consciousness mastery represents the ultimate human development achievement. When you learn to access and integrate higher mental states that unlock godlike capabilities, you transcend the limitations that keep most people operating at a fraction of their potential and create possibilities for achievement and contribution that appear miraculous to conventional understanding. Your ability to develop extraordinary capabilities and make significant contributions ultimately depends on your consciousness development rather than your education or training alone. Those who master expanded awareness will always outperform those limited to ordinary consciousness states. The framework exists, the techniques are documented, the capabilities are accessible. The only variable is your commitment to systematic consciousness development rather than accepting ordinary awareness as sufficient. Like this video if you're ready to master consciousness expansion and develop godlike capabilities through higher awareness states. Subscribe to this channel for continued consciousness mastery and human potential development education. Comment below with your most challenging limitation. Let's explore consciousness solutions together. Remember, consciousness mastery isn't about escaping human limitations. It's about discovering that most limitations exist only in ordinary consciousness and can be transcended through expanded awareness. Start your consciousness evolution today.